Greetings, everybody. I'm John Campea from Movie Reviews to Go, and this is my quick review of the new film Puss in Boots. Now, at its heart of hearts, the Shrek films, sure, they've been family animation films, yes, but at its heart of hearts, the Shrek films have always been comedies. And the new Puss in Boots, when it comes right down to it, is a comedy. I've been really interested to see how a Puss in Boots standalone film would turn out, and I'm happy to say it's turned out pretty damn well. Let's look at the good and the bad. Starting with the good side. As a comedy, this film is very, very funny. I remember I saw about 15 minutes of this film about 4 months ago when I was in Las Vegas at CinemaCon, and I was really surprised by how funny those 15 minutes were. There was great quote-unquote physical humor, great one-liners, some great, the characters were really funny in and of themselves, and Puss in Boots himself is, of course, a great character. I think one of the best characters ever coming out of the Shrek franchise. The movie starts off with, Puss in Boots introducing himself and talking about all of his various names. I've known as many things. And, one of the first things he says is, I'm known as Cato Diablo. And I just started spitting my Diet Coke up. I thought it was just so funny. So as a comedy, the film really, really works. One of the other strong suits about Puss in Boots is the fact that you don't often get to say this about animation films, but the action is really good. I remember the first CG film that really made me take notice of its action was Kung Fu Panda, also from DreamWorks. And Puss in Boots, while maybe not quite up to Kung Fu Panda level of action, the fights, the duels, the chases, the dance fights, and you'll see what I mean, all very exciting, very well choreographed, and just really engaging and made the film really entertaining. One of the things I was afraid about with the Puss in Boots movie was that it would just turn out to be another Shrek film. I thought there'd be lots of Shrek cameos and lots of Shrek references. But Puss in Boots stands as its own movie. There is absolutely no cameos by any of the Shrek characters that I noticed. There's absolutely no references to any of the Shrek characters. This is a prequel, I guess, to anything that happened in Shrek. Puss in Boots is its own movie. If you've never seen Shrek, any of the Shrek films, it doesn't matter. Puss in Boots is its own standalone movie, and as a standalone movie, it works. Now on the downside, one of the things you really want to have in these types of animated films, and I don't want to draw too many comparisons to Shrek, but like in Shrek, you had, Lord Farquaad, you had the Prince Charming, you had like these compelling kind of villains, Rumpelstiltskin too, these interesting villains that made the story really move and go, and interesting foils for the heroes. Puss in Boots has Humpty Dumpty. And while Humpty Dumpty is an interesting idea for a character in the film, he was just very plain, very vanilla, very bacon and eggs, if you will, and not very engaging, not very interesting, not very threatening, not very anything. He was just kind of there. And I don't know if that's the fault of Zach Galifianakis, who did the voice, that he failed to bring enough character to Humpty Dumpty, or if it was just the way it was written, but whatever the reason, the character just doesn't work, and that's a drawback. Also, as funny and as exciting as Puss in Boots is for the most part, I found that in the third act, the movie really felt like it ran out of steam. It's almost like they didn't know where else to go, and that they were just putting in scenes because they needed to kill time to get to that 90-minute mark. And that's all the length of this film. It's 90 minutes. And it felt like a good 15 of those minutes were just filler to get to 90 minutes. So it really felt like the movie kind of lost steam and just had the wind kind of taken out of its sails. Overall, though, Puss in Boots, even though the movie runs out of steam, it's not a very interesting character with Humpty Dumpty, it's still funny, it's still exciting with good action and overall great entertainment value. I wouldn't put it on the same level as Shrek 2 or anything like that, but it didn't need to be. Overall, I'm going to give Puss in Boots a 7 out of 10. I think you'll have a good time watching it. For Movie Reviews to Go, I'm John Campea.